This is part 2 of the composite restoration that I started prior to the fire alarm. So I was working on building up the marginal ridges only in these preps. Once I get both marginal ridges built up to the height that I want and make sure that I sealed the cable surface margins well, I'm going to remove the Toffelmeyer retainer so you can get a better look at it. I'm going to add a little bit more material in here to make sure that I build the margin up high enough on the mesial marginal ridge. You don't want to build it up too high, but if you build it up too low, then you have to go back in and add more, put your band back on and all that stuff if you are taking the band off, and you don't want to do that. So be very sure that you're ready to take your band off and that everything is sealed very nicely. And I don't know if you're paying attention to how I'm maneuvering the instrument, but you spin it around. Okay, so as I've done previously, get my Explorer and make sure that I don't have anything in the embrasure area prior to curing it. And sometimes it's the smallest little piece that you have to get out, but it's better to do it beforehand, before you cure it. And one last thing, I want to make sure that the margin isn't too wide. And push towards the mesial a little bit. Okay. I'm going to cure that. Alright, before I remove my band, let me take a really good look at the distal marginal ridge. Okay, feel that is high enough. Okay, I'll remove that so you guys can see what it looks like. Let me take my wedges out. And when you're working with a composite restoration, you can just remove the whole band in one piece. You don't have to do it separately like you do for the amalgam. Once you remove your band, you want to cure interproximally. Now, because I did it this way, when I cured it from the occlusal surface, the interproximal areas got cured really well. So me curing it then from the excuse me, interproximal areas is just like an additional step that didn't really need to be done, but better to be safe, right? Okay, so the marginal ridges are the right height. I will be smoothing them down and adjusting them And now I'm going to go ahead and start building up my lobes like I showed you in the class 1 video. Put a little bit of material in here. I'll just start with one lobe at a time. Switch to the nib and make sure that's sealed in there. And I'm going to cure it. You can get a little bit out like that too, and you can put it on your instrument directly on your instrument to put it where you need it. So I'm making the buckle triangular ridge right now, making sure that it's sealed. I'm curing this a little faster so I can, kind of get through this a little bit faster for you. Notice how I always, push that tip off of the tooth so that the material stays where I want it to be. Make sure that, you put your instrument in the groove. Push that material up against that triangular wall here that we're forming. And before I cure it, I'm going to make sure that there's nothing kind of squished over to the buckle wall. You can just remember, once you cure it, then you have all this work to do if you didn't remove like flash, or if you weren't taking your time with creating the anatomy you want, then you have to spend more time putting it in with your finishing burrs. So take a little bit of extra time learning how to place the anatomy in with this composite material. Get the anatomy just the way you want it before you cure it. Make sure that you have your transverse ridges where they're supposed to be. Remove any extra material before curing. It's a little tricky, you guys, because I have this camera right in my way. Trying to get the correct adaptation here. Before I cure that, I just want to make sure that I have the grooves where they're supposed to be. I don't want to create like a groove that your instrument can get stuck in. So that's not what I'm trying to do. Just want to make sure that I can see a definite triangular ridge. Okay. Put a little more in here. Like I said before, make sure that your instrument's always clean. And, you know, look at how I'm adapting this, and I'm making sure that everything is sealed. Adapting it kind of to the side here. And this is where you could use your acorn if you want, but honestly, just by angling this instrument kind of to the side and drag out, it makes a perfect little fossa there. Alright, I'm going to get my Explorer and check with that to see if I need to continue to add anywhere. I might add a little bit to this area so that this marginal ridge isn't too thin. I like the fossa, but I'm just going to put a little bit more material in there so it's not quite as deep, and then I'm going to kind of blend it up beside that margin. So I just need a little bit. And see the way that I'm adapting the instrument. Make sure that there's material pushing up and it's at an angle. And you don't want any material coming out over your marginal ridge that you build up. And wipe the flash away. Okay, and cure that. Then I think we're ready to polish up. I'll show you how you use your discs and the interproximal strip and things like that. I hope you all enjoy doing these restorations as much as I do. I always did enjoy art. It's kind of like being an artist whenever you're doing this. Alright, so before we had gone over using the round burrs and choosing the correct round burr to, remove any extra material from around the cave of surface margins. I'm going to continue this. It'll be part 3 in finishing and polishing a class 2 composite restoration. See you soon.